Welcome to Catholic Mom Talks. Happy Sunday, everybody. I wanted to share with you an experience I had this morning. My girls and I went up to a Catholic monastery nearby my house this morning, and there's nothing like going to a Catholic monastery for Mass or for confession, if you're Catholic. It just absolutely is mind-blowing. The spirituality level is just like off the charts. It's like you go in there and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm listening to these homilies, and these guys are on a different plane, right? They're on a different plane. They're so in love with Jesus, so dedicated to a life of prayer. I mean, it definitely is something worth your while if you live near one and they're open to the public, maybe retreat centers. You might enjoy going to Mass at one of these monasteries. Anyway, the monastery I love to go to is a Benedictine monastery, and I went to confession, and I want to share with you what he said to me. And I confess often anger, right, for impatience, right? And I think most moms do, right? They get impatient with their kids, they get angry or frustrated about things, you know. And he said something so interesting to me. He told me, he said, when you get angry, you have to stop and realize that you are suffering. And the reason why you're getting angry is because you're suffering. Now, this was like mind-blowing to me, and I had to stop and think about it for a minute. That's true. The reason why you get angry usually is because you are suffering. You're upset about something. You're frustrated. Something's overwhelming you, right? He said, you need to stop, he said, and invite Jesus into that suffering, into that time of frustration, and then take a moment with him. Talk to him. He said, maybe you need to walk away. Maybe you need to ask the Lord how you're going to handle the situation. He said, this will prevent you from committing a sin in anger. Okay? And this was very interesting to me. And then I thought about it a little bit stronger, and I thought, you know, how many people are angry? Right? And I thought, they're suffering. They're not aware of it, but they're suffering. That's what's making them angry. Okay? And this is true. And I mean, I think if you can look at situations in your life with people maybe you may know, maybe you have somebody in your family that's really grumpy, right? Really difficult and hard to deal with, and always angry and always upset about everything. It could be politics, religion, everything and anything. They're upset, right? Well, they're suffering. Unconsciously, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, they're suffering. There's some wound there that's pushing them to be angry. Okay, so I think that makes us a little more patient, I think. If we ourselves can look at our own selves and say, well, I'm hurting and I'm angry because I am suffering, right? And I have to bring this to the Lord, right? And sometimes people just make you mad because they're not very nice people, right? And that'd be very much true, but they probably are suffering too, right? So I think our call is to pray. Pray, 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 pray. Pray for these people. Pray for ourselves. And you know, my mom said something when I was a little girl. My mom's passed. But she used to say, you know, it's easy to forgive someone if you can think about the thing that they did, okay? And then think about your own life. When did you commit the same sin that they're doing to you? Or something similar? And it makes it much easier to forgive someone. You can say, oh yeah, I've done that too, right? I was mean, I was miserable, I was growly, I wasn't very patient too. And then it takes the weight, the sting off of it, right? Because we realize, gosh, I'm human, they're human, we make mistakes, right? So all of it in prayer, all of it laying, all of it in Jesus' hands. We don't understand it. We don't know why we're so angry. Give it to Jesus. Talk to him about it. For the Catholic, go to the Eucharist. Sit in adoration. As long as you need to sit there, wait for the Lord to speak to you. If you can't get to the church, go to your room. Light a candle. Bring out Scripture. Rip out the Scripture. Ask Jesus, speak to me, Lord. Where is it that I need healing? Help me, Lord. Right? The sacrament of reconciliation or confession is the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts Jesus left us. It's scriptural. Jesus tells the apostles, whoever sins you hold on to, they'll be held bound on earth. He said, whoever sins you loosen on earth, they'll be loosened in heaven. He gave them the authority to really do the work of his work of telling them they're forgiven for their sins and if they're really sorry, right? He gave that to them. It's not any different than him telling them to lay hands on people. He heals the person through their hands. No different when he heals people through their voices, right? Well, the priests and the bishops are the apostles, right? The church has just handed it down. It's the same ancient church, right? Catholicism is ancient Christianity, right? Peter is the first pope. He is the foundation. He is the rock, right? Jesus says, you are my rock, Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. Okay, he had a plan, right? He had a plan to establish a church, to establish a faith of followers, right? He had work he needed us to do, work he needed to accomplish through his people, through his apostles, right? Those are my thoughts for tonight. Thanks so much for listening. God bless everybody.